Hey guys, happy MoviePass Monday. It's me, Moon Pies. Are movie theaters gouging MoviePass? And while we're at it, can we take MoviePass at its word when it tells us that usage trends are improving? So let's tackle the first thing, which is, are movie theaters basically taking MoviePass for a ride? So a few days ago in the MoviePass chatter group on Facebook, which I believe is pretty much the largest group of Facebook users on the World Wide Webs, the interwebs, a lady posted a photo of 3 ticket stubs purchased from the same movie, same breaking-in screening, at the Magic Valley Cinema 13, this theater in Idaho. Now, the important thing about this is that they were all charged different prices. The kid price naturally will be less. The matinee price, because they did go to an early screening, was $7.25. And there was the same ticket for the same screening was charged up at $9.25, the one that was purchased at the MoviePass. And on the ticket, there is the initial MP as far as printed out, so it's like a code. Basically, MP means you pay general admission. You don't pay the matinee price, even if it's the matinee screening. So there's a question whether, is this legal? I mean, obviously the movie theater can do whatever it wants. It could be matinee pricing for non-subscription plans or something like that. Maybe that's written in there somewhere. But it still seems like they're taking MoviePass for a ride. And I don't mean this in a way that I want to demean this theater, and I don't want the theater to clearly either won't go out of business, but clearly not lose its association with MoviePass. This is Twin Falls, Idaho, a small, relatively smallish town in Idaho. This is the biggest theater there, possibly maybe the only MoviePass theater within a driving distance to a lot of the residents there. So I would hate to see this theater be basically banished from the MoviePass universe. But they're probably not the only ones that are saying, all right, well, MoviePass is willing to pay whatever they want for this movie. We're going to charge them our max price. It's sort of like when you go to a hotel and you see that in the back of the room, you open the door, it has like the rack rate, like that high rate, which is the highest I think allowed by law. It seems like some movie theaters are doing this exactly right now. At least one looks like it definitely is, and others are. And I went to the movie theater's Facebook page and I messaged them, and I did not that I wanted to troll them, but I wanted to get more information. And they're running a summer promotion like so many other places that they have. It's for the summer. They have 10 a.m. screenings that are going to be $1. A lot of theaters do this real cheap screenings, free or nearly free screenings to get families and young kids into the movie theaters, and then they sell them pricey concessions. It's in their old movies and stuff, right? So I basically said, will you be charging MoviePass $1 or $9.25 for these summer screenings? And yes, I know that's a troll factor of about 8. It's not my intention. I wanted to see just what I would get a response. And they did respond. This is the response. Ty, thank you for your question. MoviePass is just a monthly fee, so these showings won't affect the price they pay. It is determined by MoviePass whether these are considered premium shows. We won't know if they allow check-ins until the first day of shows. Being that they are older films, I don't see it being an issue. So the response is sort of a non-response, sort of saying like, hey, well, this isn't a premium thing. But they didn't really say whether they're going to charge $9.25 or $1 if a MoviePass person comes in for these dollar screenings. One would think it'd be $1. It would be outrageous if they didn't. But there's a precedent here. And whether it's a default setting on some of these theater chains, large and small, it's something that I think MoviePass needs to take a closer look at. I mean, we've had basically executives at the company saying, oh, buy any ticket, we don't care. But really, they should, because if you're going to go see a matinee, if you're a senior citizen, if you're a kid, you should buy the ticket that is the cheapest ticket you can buy for MoviePass. It's not on your dime, and I think this goes to the subject of MoviePass. They pay more than the national average. That's something that's been established for the longest time. It's the $9.95 price point makes it more valuable to people in larger metropolitan cities, the places like New York and LA, where the movie ticket prices are $15, $20 in some cases. So that $9.95 is more of a value message than it is possibly in Idaho, where $9.25 is the highest price that they charge for general admission for any screening. So we know that MoviePass itself is also collecting more money from people. AMC, in their last quarterly conference call, said that the average ticket price per person of all people buying tickets at AMC through the first 3 months of this year was less than $10. But MoviePass members, on the other hand, spent an average of a little more than $12, $12.02 or $12.03. I forget the exact number. But the point is, AMC isn't gouging them, but as a psychology of a user, you're like, well, I'm paying MoviePass, so why am I going to go see this AM cinema screening? I can go see this 8 p.m. Friday night screening at the most expensive screening of a traditional screening. You're playing by the letter of the law, and you're going to do it. Whereas if someone who's paying out of their own pocket, they may go, hey, I don't mean to be a cheap date, honey, but I think it's better if we go see sort of a matinee, maybe save up to get the early bird special on your birthday at a restaurant that serves you for free. So something like that, it's an issue. It's an issue for MoviePass because they're paying a lot more than that value of the average movie. Yet the perception in the minds of people is that, oh, if you see at least one movie, or two movies, you're making a profit off it. No, sometimes less than one movie is all it takes to put MoviePass in a hole with you. So keep that in mind. At least MoviePass needs to do something about that. I don't know. So now let's talk about, and also let's talk about the viability of the model. All right, so one of the cool things that happened in their last week's earnings report that they put out, the SH filing, and I sort of discussed the financial stuff, they put out a chart with the press release basically saying how in the first 10 days of May, usage has fallen by about 35%. And people sort of said, oh, yes, finally. And MoviePass was saying, well, that's because we started doing all these things that requiring some people to submit picture stubs, people, more importantly, telling people they can't see movies a second time on the MoviePass dime. So a lot of things that they did to increase the hoops that you have to go through. So at face value, you're thinking, well, how's this 35% number factored? So the chart is pretty simple. It has actually the cohorts. It basically has all the people that joined in November and December, January, March, April, and how much they spent that month relative to the first 10 days of May. And so basically for, let's say March is actually, that's what they don't have April, they have March. And the people in March who joined in March saw 2.3 movies in April, which is a pretty good deal for MoviePass. Not awful, 2.3. It's been as high as 2.6 in some earlier months, as low as 2.0 in January, which is probably because January, people that set up in January, people probably that were given gifts in late December, Christmas, Hanukkah gifts, stuff like that. And they may not activate them right away, or they activate them and they're slow to learn the process because they didn't decide to do it. Someone else decided to gift them that. So that's why January is probably low for all the other months as far as usage in the month of April. Even though it's 3 months down the line, they're probably still not as heavy users as if they would have done it themselves. So, but let's talk about March, which is the month where we get this 35% from. 2.3 to 1.5 through the first 10 days in May. And obviously, we're not talking about 1.5 through the first 10 days of May. This is a run rate, as MoviePass tells us. So it's almost, it's 1.5 is if that pace for the first 10 days would follow for all 31 days. So it's almost like a 0.5 movie per person average. So it's pretty good and probably better than what you probably thought MoviePass is doing. But that statistic is terrible and it's misleading and it's just blurred the reality of what it is. So let's go over the 4 reasons why that statistic is not to be trusted. 1, May 1st through May 10th had just one weekend. And of course, we know most months have 4 and sometimes 5 weekends. There's not a month that has less than 4 weekends. But by limiting themselves to a week that's a month that, from May 1st, which started from a Monday or Tuesday of one week, wrapped around and then ends, right before the start of the next weekend. I think it was Monday through Thursday, whatever it is. That gap right there only had one weekend. So it's not getting a fair thing. Obviously, weekends have a lot more people coming out to the movies than during the weekdays. We see that with every movie, even the big movies and the small movies. It's what movie theaters are all about. It's why they do these promotions midweek when theaters are dead. So it's not right to take these 10 days and just multiply it by 3 to say, boom, we can compare this to April. Not cool. Number 2, that one weekend in May, let's talk about this one weekend. They had 2 unpopular movies open. The 2 movies that opened that weekend, the 2 big movies that opened that weekend, weren't very big at all. We're talking about Overboard, which had less than $20 million in box office receipts over that the weekend, which was basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They clamped Thursday as part of that weekend. And Tully, which also opened Thursday night, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that only took in less than $5 million. So we're talking about 2 movies that did not do very well for a good reason. Studios avoided that weekend like the plague because Avengers Infinity War opened the weekend before. And if you're going to put out this big movie that's going to be at the top of the box office for a few weeks, if you have a really big movie, you're not going to put it out the weekend after you have Avengers Infinity War. It's why all the big movies, the Deadpools, the Han Solos, all these movies that are coming out now. Jurassic World later. It's just normal business sense. So it's a terrible weekend to compare May, the worst weekend probably that we'll see that for this whole summer season. That spring, it's technically spring, but we're starting the whole summer season. Probably the worst weekend that we're going to get. So bad comparison. Second of all, April 1st, let's compare the first 10 days. And now we're including all of April here is what MoviePass is using to get to that 2.3 figure. But just if we look at the first 10 days to compare it to the May's first 10 days. And again, it's not apples to apples because we had all of April and then May just multiplied by 3 to get the run rate. The very first day of April, April Fool's Day, by the way, was the opening weekend of the Sunday of Ready Player One. And while this is obviously a Sunday, and you think, well, yeah, most of the people went to go see it Friday, Saturday, and of course the Thursday before that, it actually made about $11 million, more than $11 million that Sunday. And just to put this in perspective, the Overboard made $5.1 million on its best day. That was its opening Saturday. So by Sunday, it made like a little sliver of that. So it's not even a fair comparison. And then that weekend, the first weekend of April, the first full weekend, which is part of the April 1st to 10th, that was when A Quiet Place opened, $67 million at the box office. We also had Cock Blockers with $26 million. So the biggest movie, the second largest movie to open that weekend, Blockers, had actually more than Tully and Overboard combined a month later. So that's the number 2. And not to mention that A Quiet Place did almost 3 times what that did. So let's just set all that aside and say, all right, this is insane that we're even comparing this. Then let's talk about Avengers Infinity War. When you're thinking, oh, wait a minute, there's Avengers Infinity War. That opened 5 days before May 1st. Obviously, it must have carried over a lot. And yes, obviously, Avengers Infinity War did well through the first 10 days of May. It was the top movie through the first 10 days of May. But right the day that it opened, the day Avengers opened, was the day that MoviePass said, no repeat viewing. So this is almost like to trip you up, like, all right, you're going to watch this through the first 5 days. But after that, you're on your own. So anyone that diehard fans that were going to see it over and over again and hoping that MoviePass would cover each time, probably sighed through those first 5 days. You can't imagine them not and dealing with the spoilers out there. So they probably saw it, and then after that, they couldn't use MoviePass, at least not legally, to use it according to the terms. So that's pretty much why I have no doubt that even though these new hoops that the MoviePass is going through will actually affect the use of MoviePass, it's certainly curbing the enthusiasm of people for it, for a lot of people. It's not going to be this way. Every 10 days from now on, it's not going to be a carbon copy of May 1st through May 10th. And you'll see that when we actually get some more numbers when we do. But it's why it's impressive that MoviePass had the stat that they could say we've been able to lower our usage, make our model more viable this way. There's so much more than that. And it's not fair. It's many numbers why it's a deceptive stat. So that's it for this week. Again, if something big breaks between now and next Monday, I'll be back with something. But if not, enjoy MoviePass Monday and subscribe. Please subscribe. It makes me feel good. And it also makes sure that you get these videos if anything new or timely comes out. So I will see you soon, next week or possibly sooner, if good or bad news breaks. MoviePass Monday. This is MoviePass out, and I'll see you at the movies.